The Supreme Court of India has issued a directive which will provide relief to some people excluded from the West Bengal election rolls due to the special intensive revision process. West Bengal heads to the polls in two phases on April 23rd and April 29. Voter rolls for the first phase of the election were frozen on 9th of April. But the Supreme Court noted that more than 34 lakh or 3.4 million appeals have been filed before the appellate tribunals. This means people are still appealing their right to vote, and the tribunals are adjudicating their claims even now after the freeze. In fact, the Supreme Court bench, comprising of the Chief Justice and Justice Bakshi, also provided relief to the people whose appeals against exclusion are allowed before April 21 and April 27. The bench directed the Election Commission of India to issue supplementary revised electoral rolls for the people included by the appellate tribunals by those dates. And with us on the broadcast this minute is Dharamjot Kaur, getting us the very latest. What more can you share with us right now or in terms of the impact on the voters and the sentiment on the ground?
Well, it's clearly a race against time for millions of voters here in West Bengal as elections are scheduled to begin next week. We're looking at two phases here, Molly, as you rightly mentioned, the first on the 23rd and the second on the 29th. But before that, for more than 3.4 million voters who have been excluded from the SIR, it is a race against time in terms of getting their appeal heard at the appellate tribunal for being granted interim voting rights for this particular election. Now, the Supreme Court has passed this particular order on Monday this week, but the details have come out just yesterday with respect to what this really means. The two bench, as you rightly mentioned, has passed an order under Article 142, Molly. Now, 142 is what grants the bench special powers under complete justice to ensure that they can intervene in matters where there is no existing law to sort out complex legal matters. The SIR, in this case, being one of the prime examples. As we know, the SIR was first implemented in the Bihar Assembly election just November last year. And so West Bengal is one of the few states to still have this earlier realization of the entire voter exercise. And it has created a lot of political controversy as well. Now, the 3.4 million people who have registered their appeals, their vote will only be registered if the appellate tribunal grants a judgment on their appeal. If the judgment does not come in, they will not be able to exercise the right to vote. So 21st is the deadline for the first phase and 27th is the deadline for the second phase, Molly. So clearly a lot at stake for over 3.4 million people here in West Bengal.
Right, and as we continue to track those developments, we're also looking at, like you said, the window. You know, this is a race against time. So what happens here onwards will, of course, be a closely watched contest as well. Speaking about the key issues on the ground, give us a sense of what the people have been telling you.
Well, Molly, it's a myriad of things that will be talked about in this particular election. It's the economic trade downfall of West Bengal from what it used to be as a trade hub before. It's not really at the same level as it was a few years ago. So clearly a revival of the state economically is one of the issues that's been talked about quite a bit. Job opportunities, as the BJP has also mentioned in its manifesto, to provide several of thousands of jobs if they come to power. The TMC, on the other hand, is trying to ensure that it retains its power, and Mamata Banerjee clearly heading that entire campaign on the lines that, you know, it's an insider versus outsider battle. So we're looking at economy, we're looking at anti-incumbency, we're also looking at a lot of identity politics over here. And in the midst of that identity politics has been intensified by the SIR, which has created quite a row. So there's a lot of things that is happening on the ground, Molly. There's a big divide in terms of what issue will really make it to the ballot and for which part of the state will it register the most. That is the big question. But of course, we'll find out answers to that once voting does take place in two phases and when counting actually happens on May the 4th.
Right, we're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for now. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.